Okay, when we zoom on the character, there are a couple things you want to work with. When you did the selected mask, part of the stalk over here you can see through, and up here you want to just use your paintbrush, and on the mask itself, just clean that up by taking your paintbrush, paint in white, use a hard edge brush, smaller one, just paint it in. So that's just something you could definitely want to do. Over here in the bun area, there's a little yellow showing through, so you want to clean that up as well, for that purpose. Now, instead of just bringing the image in for the background, I want you to do something a little bit different. I want you to add something to it. You change some text around. I would probably manipulate and lay out the text a little bit differently as well. But most students are doing just bringing an image in. I want you to add it, make it your own. You got to do something different to it. So one of the suggestions I want to suggest here is that we don't see the orange down here. That we kind of, I'm going to resize this layer. I'm going to stretch it out, and actually I might have to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to stretch it out so I don't see that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like a little floor area for the character to stand on. So I'm going to duplicate layer 1. Make sure you name your layers. I will look at that when I grade it. So you want to make sure all your layers are named. Oops. Duplicate the layer 1. And I name that floor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply do a transform, edit free transform. I'm just going to resize this down to about right here. I might have to remove this aspect of it. Okay. Then what I'm going to do here, let me zoom back out because I'll have to see this. I'm going to go back up to edit, transform, perspective. I'm going to take this bottom resizing handle. I'm just going to move it out like this. That's going to create the perspective of a floor look. And in this case, what I'll probably do here is I'm just going to take my patch tool, and I'm going to select this area right here. I'm just going to move it over, and it's going to copy that over into that area. And we deselect so we don't have that. Okay. Now, with that said, with any floor, we want to make it a little bit darker as it goes back toward the back. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my control key down. I'm going to click on the thumbnail, and it selects that area. Okay. If you're on the Mac, Command key. I'm just going to create a new layer right above it. I'm going to take my gradient tool. Okay. I'm going to use the black to white foreground color. I'm going to start up here at the top and go down like this. So I'm trying to get a little bit darker up there, and you're going to say, well, what does that do? Because it doesn't look like what it's supposed to do. Well, that's when you have to change your blending modes. Oops, not overlay. Let's do multiply. So that way you see how the shadow is back there, and then I adjust the opacity down. So what we're doing is we're just adding a little extra shadow. Now some people, instead of doing black, they would choose, like for example, a darker brown color, instead. So that way, then you come up here and you choose black to white, and that brown's going to blend in with that yellow, for that purpose. And then what I would suggest doing here then is, let's move Fred out of the way. Oops, you got your clipping mask going on. So let's move that out of the way. And then let's take your text, your images. I'm going to select all by clicking on the first layer, holding down the shift key, and click on the last layer of the image. I'm going to move that character down onto the floor. Oops, and it didn't bring the mouth down for that purpose. Because then you can create a cast shadow of this, and you can do some other things to it. And then what we can do is we can make, I would probably make flipping food, and then up here, yeah, so center, we'll make Fred, bring flipping food Fred over here, get that centered into that. And then we could also go in with both of them selected, we can transform a little bit, make it larger, press my right, so make it stand out. So it gives you a little more control over that. So um, you can always experiment with flipping. See, you applied styles to it. Now, if you want a style, I think I can. Let me think here. I think I have some styles that I might be able to. Burger styles, no. Bronze bread. I thought I had some. Oh, fruit styles. Include in here because I can actually make that. I can go in. So if you didn't want to do, like, for example, a clipping mask for Fred, okay, I'm going to click on Fred, and I'm going to apply this fruit, this orange. Now it only works if it's a little bit larger thickness, but what you're going to see here is going to look like a orange. Okay, so it has to be a larger, thicker font for that to work. I'll include that style.